Happy spring. We're going to talk about spring detox today. And this is most likely going to be a view on detox that you've never heard before. I'm not going to tell you to restrict yourself from anything. And I'm actually going to talk to you more about emotions than I am about food, although we will talk about food. And that's because at the root of all behavior often lies an emotion, or always lie an emotion and a thought. And you can ask yourself right from the beginning, what is the emotion that drove the vice or behavior to create toxicity in the first place? You might be wondering, why would you do a detox? How do I know I need to detox? Why detox in spring? I'm going to talk about all of that. But one thing to know is that your body is actually constantly detoxing. It's not some special phenomena that happens when you eat green juice. Your body has to detoxify itself because you are part of your environment, but there are things that are in your environment that need to be processed through your physical body. So even if you're very, very healthy, like me, for example, I don't intake any substances. I basically don't eat anything besides fruit, vegetables, and grains anyway. So why am I detoxing? Well, our environment is full of toxins from both man-made and natural ones. And traditionally, Chinese medicine utilized the tools of herbal medicine, food therapy, and they even have prescriptions with different types of water according to what illness you have. So the healing power of nature is something we've forgotten, and that is part of what I'm going to emphasize today when I talk about how to detox. By the end of this, I will give you 5 specific things you can do to detox your body on a daily basis and to prepare yourself for more intense detox that might actually require or might actually include some deprivation. Because there's this thing called hormesis, which means essentially a stress that makes your body stronger. The evolution kind of happens as a result of this. We have a stimulus, like a plant, for example, that survives in very rough conditions. That plant has extremely strong medicine inside of it. We say in herbal medicine, if you can get a wild herbal medicine, this will be even more powerful than one that you've grown. So with our food in a way has become weaker because it's not, and our bodies as well have become, in a sense, weaker because we're not constantly exposed to the environment. So we're more easy to get sick when we're confronted with these environmental stressors because we've forgotten how to balance ourselves inside of them. Why am I talking about this in relationship to detox? Because we have all of these modern conveniences, and a lot of people, they want to run into a juice cleanse or some crazy diet that is, yes, maybe we'll lose weight in the beginning. That's a lot of the reason that people do a detox. And I'll just pause right there and say the reasons somebody might detox. You're tired, you want to lose weight, you have sleep issues in general, skin problems, low mood, hormone imbalances, chronic inflammation in general, brain fog. The list goes on and on and on. But basically, if you're not feeling your optimal, and even if you are, and I'll talk about that as we go along, the detox is an excellent thing to do in the springtime because of the change in season, which makes our body more prone to illness. So if we can kind of hit the reset button, which would have happened in nature anyway, because the availability of food would be more scarce as the sprouts are not yet full grown and the storage food of winter would be running out, we would naturally enter this state of deprivation. But the reason I'm not starting with telling you to deprive yourself of anything is because most likely, especially if you're watching this, you are, and you want to detox. Usually when someone wants to detox, most likely you are extremely deficient in rest. So the emphasis of this entire talk and the 5 things I'm going to give you to do at the end are about nourishment and rest. If you hit the ground running every single day and you hope to do a detox while you're doing that, you might cause more harm to your body than good. It's not always true. Sometimes life is life and you just have a lot going on and you want to like refresh your system with the juice cleanse, fine. But if you want to do it properly, in the sense that you have the ability to control preparing yourself for the cleanse, because that's what modern technologies has allowed us to do, this is what I recommend. First, I recommend, and this is not one of the 5 things, but I recommend looking at these are 4 ways we detox. How much you're sweating, how much water you're drinking or urination, your bowel movements, and the amount that you're sweating. These are the 4 ways that we output toxicity: breathing, urinating, bowel movements, and sweat. And if one of those are not happening on a regular basis, you're either not moving enough, not drinking enough water, not eating enough fiber, or eating foods that agree with your body to produce a bowel movement, and perhaps you're not breathing very deeply or at all. Of course, you have to breathe to live, but your breath might have some challenge. That could be inflammation in the airways and lungs from something you're eating, something in the air, or it could just simply be that you are stressed and so your breath is constricted and there's tension in your body, and a tension in the breath will translate into a tension in the whole nervous system, and that will make it harder to detox than anything else. Tension. The body lets go of weight. The body lets go of a lot of the inflammation that it's carrying when it has time to rest, because rest is the magic medicine. Rest is what allows the blood to travel back from all the limbs and the brain into the vital organs. You have all your organs can detox, but you have 2 major detox organs or blood filters. One is the liver. It's under your right rib cage. You can massage it. It likes that. And one is your kidneys, and they're in your low back near the last ribs. And the kidneys are quite tiny, but they filter massive amounts of water. And the liver is quite large, and it filters an enormous amount of blood. It filters all the toxins from your food, air, water, and your own emotional toxins or excessive hormones that result from the stress that you perceive in the world. So this is the perspective on detox I'm going to give you that you probably haven't heard before. Why do you know what to do? Like, you're supposed to eat all this stuff, right? You're supposed to not eat too much. You're supposed to sleep early. Why don't you do it? Why can't you do it? You could blame it on work and busyness. You could blame it on a million different things, but at its root, it has to do with something emotional inside of you. Or you could just be ignorant and not know what to do. That's another option, another possibility. But if you know theoretically what you quote unquote should do and you don't do it, there's 2 things. One, you could think that you know what you should do, but it's way too intense, it's way too extreme. The reason I got into Chinese medicine is because I was that person of extreme, of, okay, let me eat salad only and work out 7 days a week. No, that does not create health, that creates pathology. So you might think you know what to do that's healthy, but your view of health might actually be too extreme, and that's why you're failing. Same with detox. The second option is you know what to do and it's sustainable, but you have this trigger inside of you that you haven't taken time to process, either in actual therapy or just by resting. Because our society is extremely deficient in rest. And this is something that I've seen patients now since 2015. And since then, up until now in my private practice, I see all the way from school until seeing people on my own day in and day out, that most people know what to do, but they're unwilling to give up the comfort that their vices give them because there's something underneath it that they either don't want to look at, don't want to change, or don't feel like they have enough energy or resource to change. That's really important to acknowledge, because maybe you're like, no, I can face my emotional pain and trauma, but then actually you might not have enough physical energy to do it. And this is where illness can arise, because our body is like calling out in a crisis mode. It's like, I'm not okay, something needs to change. But sometimes we have to get to that crisis point in order to make that change. So the whole reason I'm doing this video and showing you all my beautiful vegetables is to prevent that from happening for you the way that it did for me. So now I'm going to tell you the 5 things that I would recommend starting with for a detox that does not require deprivation. A couple of you asked questions on Instagram, and I'll answer those after this. So, number 1, sleep earlier and sleep more. I recommended last week on my story that I do a digital detox after 8 p.m. If you want to join me on that, I recommend doing that for an entire week before you start your detox process with food. This is because when you're not resting, naturally your hunger hormones will go up because you need more energy to keep going, because you didn't get enough rest. And you also didn't have enough time to digest your emotions. So there's that stress lingering, because your body doesn't just your body doesn't just heal itself physically when you're sleeping. Your body heals and processes emotions. Your brain does that. Your organs as well, according to Chinese medicine. So if you don't have that processing time, the stress is just going to go up and up and up, and so will your appetite. Or you might be one that loses your appetite when you're stressed. I'll talk about that. I wrote a whole blog post. You can read more about the way emotions impact physical health in the blog post on this topic. But sleep more and try to get off your phone at 8 p.m. Set an alarm. This gives you time to wind down, because if you get off your phone, you most likely will get to bed earlier. The second is to add more of these beautiful fresh foods, specifically greens, because in nature, what's available right now is tiny little baby sprouts, so microgreens, sprouts themselves. I always tell people to add more of things like broccoli. Do I have them here? Yes. Brussels sprouts, dark leafy greens like kale, partly because these foods help your liver to detoxify itself more powerfully because of the compounds found in them, but also because of the vitamin K2, which helps your circulation. And when your circulation is better, your mood will be better, your stress will be lower. Because part of the reason we feel like this feeling of like I'm constantly stuck in traffic, even though I'm just like working and like in the middle of my day, is because our circulation sucks. So eating the dark leafy green vegetables, not salad, but dark leafy green vegetables full of vitamin K2 and other nutrients and micronutrients, your blood flow will improve, your anxiety might decrease, and you might end up having less cravings because of that. The other foods you can think about including or adding more of. Oh, one more thing about vegetables. If you're new to eating vegetables, steam them. So sauces are like a whole huge topic, because sauces could be making you sicker than your food itself. But I would say, use like basic sauces. Like I'll talk about this now, like vinegar. I really recommend vinegar during a detox because it's helpful for your gallbladder function, especially apple cider vinegar. But find really simple, plain, nothing weird added sauces, or use basic things like vinegar. I'm not going to touch on oil right now, but you can think about a little less oil, but I don't want to emphasize taking things away. I want to emphasize adding things. So add steamed vegetables with something that makes them palatable to you, at least to your lunch and dinner, 1 serving, and then slowly over the course of a couple days, go up to 2 servings. 2 servings at lunch, 2 servings at dinner. You want to eat a lot of greens and fiber, because this is going to help build up your gut microbiome, those little bugs in your gut that dictate so much of your behavior as well as your mood are extremely dependent upon fiber. So you will find that perhaps you're just not getting enough of the good stuff, and if you eat that first, you will also be less likely to overeat the quote-unquote bad stuff. Another food is beets. Right here I have beet juice, but beets are especially helpful for moving the bowels. And they're a really nice way to get like a little bit of sweet, because there isn't like a whole lot of sweet in the detoxes that I usually do. And that has to do with the way that it cleanses the liver to not have the blood sugar spike as much. Then things like lemon, and this is an orange, but I highly recommend grapefruit, because the sour foods are really, really helpful also for liver and gallbladder function, and they're alkalinizing. I'm not going to talk about what that means right now. And then radishes. I recommend eating a radish at the end of your meal, actually, because it will help your appetite. Because if you're not used to eating this way, you might feel not satisfied because your taste buds have not been excited as much as they're used to being excited. So if you can eat a radish at the end of your meal, that will help curb your appetite a little bit. I also have here parsley and cilantro, and I love adding these to any meal that I have, again, because they actually are, parsley especially is a bit of a diuretic, so that's going to help flush your kidneys and detox your kidneys, which is my third point of drinking more water, because it's insane to me how many people are dehydrated on a regular basis. How much water do you drink? If you weigh 200 pounds, drink 100 ounces. Divide your body weight by 2, and that's the number of ounces you want to drink per day. This is 32 ounces, so I'm drinking a couple of these per day. Drink more if you're sweating more. Add electrolytes. We'll talk about, I really like Element, LMNT, no affiliation, and we'll talk more about beverages another day later this week. So yeah, just drink more water, especially in the morning. Try drinking 16 ounces of water before you do anything else. I'm not going to tell you to give up caffeine right now, but I am going to tell you to drink more water. Then, walk. Go on a walk. We talked about sweating is one of the main ways your body detoxes, and it doesn't have to be a big, crazy, huge sweat. Like, you especially actually don't want to kill yourself during a detox, because you're not going to be eating a lot of these building foods. Super important to remember, your body is either breaking itself down or building itself up. If you're having protein, things like that, richer foods, sweeter foods, that's like building. So if you want to slow down your quote unquote detox, those are the foods you eat. If you're trying to release, especially releasing those emotions, you'll notice if you start to eat this way and you get full on these foods and you stop eating the foods that you're emotionally triggered to eat, your emotions will come out, because the food is what's keeping them not expressed. And you don't have to be hard on yourself about that. But that brings me to my next point. I'll come back to the walking in a second. The fifth point is to journal throughout the course of the next 1 to 2 weeks while you take on these nourishing additions. And I always start with awareness at the beginning, because if you just become aware of the fact that you crave cookies at the end of a very busy day, you can start to say, okay, well, what am I feeling right now that I don't want to be feeling? I'm feeling exhausted. Oh yeah, I do too much in one day. Oh yeah, and that thing that happened, that made me really emotionally upset. I'm still upset about it, but I haven't dealt with it or processed it. And I'm tired, and the list goes on. So just pausing to ask the question of, how do I feel right now as I go to this craving? Even if you indulge the craving, at least you paused and you noticed what the emotion was in that moment. And that will already start to create change. So journaling. I can't remember if I finished water or not, but yeah, drink enough water and then walk. Sweating, that's right. So sweating is one of the ways we detox. And a lot of people are not moving during the day because of their work. And this creates emotional stress as well as physical stress, because our bodies are meant to move. If you have cold hands and feet, you are likely not moving your body enough. There's a lot of reasons for that. But move your body. And the reason I say don't do intense exercise, oh, this is how we got to the building and breaking down foods, is because when you exercise, you really have to build your body back up with nourishment. And if you're focusing on detox, you won't be able to take in the proper nourishment to rebuild yourself the way that your body is asking for after a workout. That's why when I do like intermittent fasting, like a 36-hour fast, I don't do it a day after working out, because the day after I work out, I'm going to be more hungry, and I know that now. So I wait until, like, I don't work out the day before I fast. That way it's a little easier on the system. But walking is very psychologically de-stressing because it's a right-left motion. And it might sound simple, but unless you live in a city, you probably aren't walking that much. And especially if you can do it in nature, walking is good de-stress and it's good movement medicine, because movement, actually walking, stimulates your digestion. And especially if you can walk after your evening meal, which theoretically, I'm going to say, according to Chinese medicine, it's better to eat in the morning and to eat less and less throughout the day. But if you aren't on that schedule, don't worry. If you want to work with me one-on-one, I can say a million different things about how to accommodate this Chinese medicine point of view to your particular lifestyle. Or if you just want to learn more about Chinese medicine way of living life, definitely you can sign up for that with the holistic telemedicine link in my bio. But if you are the type of person that doesn't eat breakfast, just consider, especially on the detox, maybe your dinner wasn't as satisfying because you like added all these vegetables, and now you're like not really hungry, but you're still hungry for something that tastes good. And so you just go to sleep because you're like not satisfied, but then you wake up and maybe you're more hungry because you didn't eat what you usually ate. So start it like that. Have like a meal, like a quote unquote super healthy meal with all these good green stuff. And then wake up and have breakfast the next day, and then have lunch, and see how you feel by actually fueling your body in the morning. Because if you do eat at night, that's why I say walk afterward, because if it takes blood in your stomach and intestines to digest your food, and your liver. So if you're not putting food in the system, that blood can go into your detox organs, your liver and your kidney, especially at night when it's more effective for the blood to go there, because you're not out and about doing other things. So more of the blood can go to that area in the first place. So those are the 5 things. Sleep more, rest earlier, get off your phone at 8 p.m. if you can, just for a week. And do that for a whole entire week before doing any of these other things, except maybe drink water. Start drinking water now. Drink water when you first wake up, and throughout the day, half your body weight in ounces. Eat more greens especially, but maybe some sour foods like vinegar, the lemon. Also bitter foods can be really helpful for stimulating digestion. Journal. Start to pay attention to the emotional trigger and what time of day it's happening, when it happens after, and just write about it. So you slow your brain down a little bit, build the awareness. And then walking to get your movement in, to stimulate your digestion, to do a low stress movement, to not push your body so hard while it's trying to heal on the inside. Because one thing that I think we all forget is that our body has a tremendous self-healing capacity. And once we can surrender to that self-healing capacity, then our life will get so much easier, because we won't be trying to fix ourselves all the time. We won't be trying so hard to do the right thing. We will naturally start to do what feels good, because we're acknowledging what our needs are. So many of us just don't acknowledge our needs, like our need to sleep more in winter. You just need more sleep in winter, that's it. Our need to get up when we feel anxious, when we're sitting for so long. And the societal structures in place, I know, can make listening hard, but that's why you do it for like a week long at a time. Like, do all this adding of these behaviors for 1 week, and the sleep 1 week before that, and continue the sleep for week 2. Because if you can do this, then we can talk about deprivation. If you're not rested, if you can't include good things in your weekly schedule already, how are you going to only survive on them without any of your other quote unquote vices or quote unquote crutches? I don't want to say that anything is bad, because there's a reason your mind, body, spirit is craving that thing, and it's ultimately to bring you to balance. We don't crave anything that won't ultimately lead us back to joy and freedom. We might think that something is bad for us, but really it's just showing us the direction that we need to move in. When something doesn't feel good, it's showing us how we can move in a different direction to actually feel good. So then you take the guilt and the judgment out of it, and you just start to listen to what does work and what does feel good. So go get yourself some parsley and message me with any questions. Again, you can message me or use the link in the bio if you want to work with me on telemedicine. I can absolutely help you create a detox protocol that is maybe a little bit more intense than this. And obviously I'm available for acupuncture as well. But I'm speaking from all my clinical experience of just observing human behavior and myself, right? Like I mentioned earlier, I got into all of this because of my intensity and extremeness. And I'm telling you, from doing the extreme stuff and like seeing it work, like I did a 14-day water fast. Did it like heal some things in me? Yeah. But it also damaged me, and it also made me non-functional in a lot of parts of my life. And what I'm trying to get across is that you can purify your body. And this is something that I don't have time to talk about in this video, but there are qigong movements, meditations, gentle movements that you can do, even visualizations that you can do that will strengthen and purify your body so much. I want to say even more than food, but food is the basis of your physical health. And if your physical health is not well, it's much harder to do everything you love in life. So think of doing this as investing in the physical vessel that will help you do everything else that you love and enjoy in life, and be with the people that you love and enjoy with more energy and more of your beautiful self. Because this self can't survive alone. It needs nature's medicine in order to continue. So I have so much to say, but it's getting long, so I'm going to stop here and just message me if you have any questions or with your questions, and I'll be back later this week with some more info. We're going to talk about skin detox, herbs, and lots of fun things. Okay, see you next time.